viewpoints and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Scarefest Television 1 week before D-Day. We'll call it D-Day, because I don't count. I got to be in town from Wednesday on. Anyway, Scarefest, yes, it's next week, and this is going out October 11th, 2024, in the final days before Scarefest 16, Scarefest 2024, Scarefest XDI. We don't use Roman numerals anymore. Wonder why that is. Co-host Chad Harlan, who jumped in at the last minute because he's the only one of my co-hosts that apparently doesn't have a life like me.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much. Although now Katie had a bad excuse anyway, but everybody else was doing stuff. And
I only have plans one weekend a year. Scarefest is next weekend. So.
And our guest tonight is Mr. Carl Toup. Carl, welcome to the show. And, okay, now, Joe Lewis will be reviewing Salem's Lot 2024, the new version. He's going to be talking about that. And if anybody's wondering, I smell like soured milk. Actually, I changed my shirt, so I don't know. We found 5 kittens out in the lot beside our house. Someone had apparently just dropped them off. And I almost hit them with a mower. And wow. So now we're bottle feeding 5 baby kittens the week before Scarefest. So how's that?
I'm sure you have the time to do that as well.
Yes, absolutely. The producer handles most of it. So anyway, now Carl, everyone was in Aliens, the second movie of the series, by my understanding.
Yep.
Now you're. I watched the movie again to refresh my memory, and I'm gonna, okay. How many, that you bill yourself as alien warrior, from my viewpoint, there were quite a few aliens, but they were never on screen at the same time. How did that all work?
Yeah, well, most of the scenes when I was doing stunt work with the main actors, that was just me. And when we were a group, that was me with the stuntmen. Because basically they wanted my thin shape that I had in those days. It was, and I was pretty supple. And so any scenes with Carrie or Sigourney or Vasquez, that was me on the single shots with the single alien. And then the group shots when we were going up and down the air chutes and falling through ceilings, that was generally me in first shot, and then the stunt people come in after me. So yeah, it was a mix generally, but I was the main alien with the actors. So
now, of course, now I'm just going to ask you a lot of questions about the movie in general, because I guess I kind of knew that there were humans inside the things, but like in that movie, they show the queen alien,
yeah.
And to me, it looked like a puppet. Was there a human in that one?
No, that was a puppet.
Okay. So, but okay. Now the reason I asked that is because in my little un-Hollywood mind, I'm thinking, well, if that's a puppet, those are probably puppets. But now I know better.
Okay. I thought they got it quite well done, actually, myself. But there you go.
Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful movie, and it's aged well. I still enjoy every minute of it. The only thing, of course, 1986, I think it came out.
Yeah.
1986 computer graphics or whatever they use. The early in the movie when they show the plane, I guess you've watched it. Wouldn't be one of your scenes when they show the plane entering the atmosphere and it's going into the clouds. Damn, it looked fake. I think that looked fake by 1986 standards.
I think they made the most of it, but just before going into all the computer stuff, I think they sort of, they were still playing around with like toy ships and everything. Planes coming in.
Basically it's a shot of a toy
I think
ship.
that's why it's, sorry, is there any way you could turn the volume up a bit? I can't hear you very well.
I can get closer to the microphone.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless it's my end, I don't know. But no, I'm up full volume. It was, the computer stuff was just coming in. So it was really, I think that's why it's a film that sort of lasted quite well, because I think it's still got that excitement of the sort of dummies and real sort of acting and stunt work. And, it's still people, wires still being used to lift up things and that, and miniature scaled down models. So I think that's one of the reasons why I think it's lasted as well, because I think it was one of the better films just before we did go into all the computer work. So I think they did quite a good job on it.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, it's beautiful. It aged well. Now the costume you were in, how long did it take to get into costume?
It was pretty. It wasn't probably took about 45 minutes to an hour. Because what the actual main body was a black like leotard, I suppose, with legs and lycra, and then there was rubber molding stuck on that, so that was fairly easy to slip on. And then they'd add on my rib cage, the waist pipes at the back, and then my head was basically my neck, so they'd have a neck piece going around my head. And then the head on top of my head. So once that was all fixed in, that was reasonably quick. And then it was covering up my skin, because they put on gloves and then they put on my feet. So they were sort of taped on, so they couldn't see any skin or anything. And then makeup covered over any flesh that was showing through. So it was probably about an hour to get me in. And then once I was in, that was it for the day. Basically, they just left me stuck in my costume and sort of fed me through a straw occasionally. So. It was.
Now, what time of year was it done? That looks like a hot thing to wear.
Yeah, it was the winter time, so it was pretty cold because we did filmed in Pinewood Studios, we had a bit of heating there, but a lot of the film was done in Acton Power Station, and that was a disused electrical power station, and that was cold, and I think that's where the film got a lot of its atmosphere from, because it was black, it was dingy, it was smelly, right. It was rain dripping down because it rains a lot in England, if you didn't know.
I've heard. It's secondhand knowledge.
Well. And so that was we were wrapped up in blankets around there, but that was it was pretty chilly time of filming. So because I was on it for about 6 months filming, so on and off. I wasn't going in every day. They pulled me in the days they needed me. And it was good. It was, we were looked after well, so we didn't freeze too much.
Chad, over to you.
Good evening, Carl. It's a pleasure to speak to you.
How you doing?
Great. I'm going to take it back a little bit. I know we have a lot of fans that are going to be very excited to come meet you at the convention. Why don't we tell them a little bit about your history and how you grew up and kind of what led you in this path?
Yeah. Well, I was born in London a few years ago, and my parents were hairdressers. They were in the hairdressing trade, so I grew up in that sort of situation. And then I went to a boys' grammar school, and then we were having to play rugby and sports like this. And we had to do it, but I decided to dive off and go to the tap dancing lessons. For some reason, I really enjoyed it, and then I sort of decided I wanted to go to actual dance college, theatre school, and that didn't go down too well. But my parents were pretty understanding after we'd had a few discussions about it. So I went off to theatre school. We did the training there for 3 years. And then my aim was really going to the West End Theatre, which is the theatre land of London. And so I was lucky enough, and I got my first job was going to the West End, which was in a musical called Call Me Madam. Great costume piece, and some great dancing. Good for dancers to be in and that. So I was doing that. And then I was doing television, cabaret, more West End shows. And then I was doing a play by Tom Stoppard. He wrote and produced, I think, the film Brazil. I don't know if you've heard of that. But quite a weird play. And in that, I was having to be an astronaut, and I was on wires. And I was sort of going across the stage on wires. And that's when my agent phoned me up and said, would I be interested in going to audition for a film called Aliens at Pinewood? So I thought, so they were looking for sort of slim, agile people who could do wire work and stunts, which I'd never really done stunts before, but the wire work, I was quite enjoying it. So we went along. It was a bit of a laugh, really, because I didn't think there was any chance of me getting a film in a big Hollywood movie and that. And so I went along with a friend of mine, and there's probably about, well, it seemed like thousands when I walked through the studio doors. There's about 1,000. No, there's probably about 200, 300 people going for the same job. So I thought, oh, well, there's no chance of me getting that. And when the audition started, James Cameron was there with Stan Winston, who did all the costume designing and everything. So we hadn't seen the costume or anything at this point. So they just said, well, can you all move like aliens? So it was like 200 idiots walking around trying to pretend to be aliens. And somehow they seemed to whittle us down. I don't know why they chose us. I don't know. But they did. And then I suppose I think it was the last audition we did, they had us jump off about a 12-meter scaffolding, and they wired us up, and they just said jump and move like an alien. So when you're in these auditions, the adrenaline's pumping. You just want that job, so you do what they tell you. And I jumped, and that was it. We went home, and then I got a phone call, and the agent said, "Well, they want you to do the job," because originally they were looking for about 12 people to do the role of the alien. And I don't know whether it was for economical reasons or whatever, they just wanted one in the end, and they chose me. So
that's the wrong way to look at it. Obviously, they couldn't find anybody else that could do it.
Well, no,
you were the only one with the skills they needed.
Yeah, but I was over the moon with it when when the agent said you've got it. I just wasn't expecting it. It was I wanted it, but I just wasn't expecting it. And then when you get that call come through, it's like, whoa, here we go. So yeah, and it was great. And then that's how I got onto the film, and that's sort of it's a great. And I wasn't really, when I started out, I wasn't really set out to do that. It wasn't even in my mind to do sort of stunt work and work on a film like that and doing something apart from the dancing that I was doing. So, it was quite a experience and a good learning episode, really, to doing a film like that. Just seeing how the film was made, incredible. So, being in that whole Hollywood situation was incredible. Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought about it until you laid it out, but it makes perfect sense with a creature like that they're trying to create, to use a dancer with your knowledge of movement and those skills.
Well, I think that was partly because I could get into certain positions that maybe a stuntman couldn't, because stuntmen are generally they're sort of a bit bulkier than I was and not quite as supple. So I was able to get in some of the weird positions and movements they wanted us to do, wanted me to do in the costume. So, that was to my advantage, really. So I think that's one of the reasons is the slimness and the agility, the suppleness of the body I had then. Because, it's not, we were put in some sort of weird tight positions in some places, set into the scenery so you couldn't see me. So You had to, had to have the strength to keep yourself in that position and to sort of feel small enough to hide yourself. So it was,
I'm sure this.
Sorry.
I'm sure the study you've done of movement too helped you create the character as to how
because generally when you're dancing, you are putting your body into some weird positions sometimes, which aren't completely natural. So that lended itself a bit to the movement of the creature itself. So finding a position that wasn't completely human, with more like a sort of reptile sort of feel towards the movement. But you just think that's in your imagination. That's how you think. Oh, this is how the end is going to move. So that's it.
I think like I'm sorry.
No,
I think like Wes said that the fact the movie holds up and is still a classic at this point shows how successful you were with that. But now I'm going to have to toss it to a commercial. We'll be right back with Carl.
Okay, great.
Bombs is a 2024 Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendor. The Bombs makes bath and body products for everyone. Ashley Dobbs makes unique small batch hand-painted bath bombs, plus sugar scrubs, whip soaps, and body oils. Find the Bombs on Facebook and at the monthly Central Kentucky Mystical Market in Lexington. Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendors make the event happen. Be sure to tell them that you heard it here on Scarefest TV.
Tuesday's Crypt features deals with talents in the horror community, from mask makers, sculptors, artists, and more. Plus, podcast live in the crypt, shooting the shiz with BK and the swag, and BK and the bees, horror buzz. Visit their website, join their Facebook group, and thank them for being a Scarefest sponsoring vendor.
And welcome back, everyone, to Scarefest Television. Our guest tonight is Carl Toup. He was in the movie Aliens. He played the alien warriors, and he's being brought to Scarefest 2024 by Doomsday's Crypt, who you just saw the commercial of. See how everything just works like a well-oiled machine around here. Let's see. I made some notes here. Doing the alien, okay? What was the hardest part of doing that creature?
The hardest thing, I think the actual head itself was the hardest piece to work, because it was the dimensions. I had sort of like probably about 60, 70 centimeters behind and probably 30 in front of me. So I had to learn to readjust to the space around me. So, if I was in a tight situation, I had to be careful not to knock in the scenery because it, really lose the effect of that, the movement of the alien head, or I'd be whacking the actors around as well. So, whack them with the head as well. So that was probably the hardest bit of the costume to do. And also I had limited vision as well. So I just had basically a slot that I could see through. My vision was just straight ahead. So I was having to sort of move my eyes as much as I could without moving my head, because my eyes were, at the front of the head itself on the mask.
But I on screen, does it even have eyes? The monster on screen?
Sorry, is it
the monster on screen? Does it even have eyeballs? Anything?
Not really. It's like a skull head. Really. It's that's. Yeah, but you still have to imagine where it's looking from. Yeah. So if I was putting my head up, I'd be looking up at the sky. So you had to readjust your movements there. And then by the end of the day, my eyes were so set in looking straight forward. I'd take the mask off, and it would take me probably half an hour for my eyes to readjust to the normal world again. So that was probably the hardest bit. Was probably the head to move in the costume. And then also you had your hands and your feet. You had another sort of half of 6 inches extra. So if you grabbed anything, you had to be careful not to bend the end of your fingers over, because just again you're losing the whole effect of it being a real alien, aren't you? So
now, okay, this was the sequel, the second in the. Were you familiar with the franchise, with the Alien movie? Had you seen the Alien?
Yeah.
So you knew kind of what to expect.
Yeah, well, when I was at college, we went to see it. So it was about 6. I think the first one was 6 years before the one I did, the second one. So I was at college then. I had no idea when I saw the film that I would even be anywhere near a sequel if it came up. But yeah, no, the first one was a great film. And I think also in those days, sequels weren't always looked on as the best, the best thing to do.
They're still not.
Yeah, you got away with it once, but getting away with it a second time, it's not going to work. But so when I heard I was doing the second Aliens, I was like, oh god, another a sequel. Is it going to be as you don't know with films whether they're going to be a success or not. But everyone says, oh, sequel, they're never any good. So I thought, well, I'd do it just for the experience anyway. But I'm glad I did, because I think the second one stood up as a sequel compared to the first one. I think. Some people, there's some camps that prefer the first one, some prefer the second one. But I think generally the idea is the first two were the better two of the franchise. They seem to be the most popular from the fans. So
now,
when I saw the first one, we loved it. It's screaming in the cinema and everything. It was hadn't seen something like that before. So and it had some good actors in it as well. Then
the cast was heavyweight, absolutely. Now, me not being a movie expert, okay.
Join the club.
Did how much gravitas? I think would be a better to use a word that I don't even know the definition of. James Cameron. Of course, he'd done Aliens, and I know he was obviously a big director to be able to pull off the budget that it would take to do that movie. But when you went to work for that, I mean, from your perspective, not only just being a Hollywood production, how did you feel about working with that cast and with James Cameron?
Well, I must admit, James Cameron I didn't know that well at the time. He'd done I think it was Terminator before, and I hadn't seen that. But for me, it was Sigourney Weaver, really the one that scared me the most. Seeing her for the first time, that was the one that was, oh God, I'm working with Sigourney Weaver. Because I think, when from the first one, when we were sort of teenagers, we were all in love with Sigourney Weaver. And so, knowing that I was working with her was probably the more, I was more impressed with that than actually James Cameron, which I was wrong there, wasn't I? So
he had a little staying power. Great. Yeah, he had a little staying power.
Yeah, but he's great. To work with James Cameron, you're seeing how he works. He's just he's a magician in a way. He sees things. He was asking us to do things. I thought, that's going to look like a man in a suit going up a ladder or something. And the way he filmed it and lit it and everything, he just had the vision of it, the end shot. So, which is, I suppose, the director's job anyway. But he filmed things backwards. And in my head, I couldn't work it out, but you just did what you were asked to do. And then when you see it on screen, that did work. We couldn't have done it any other way. So it's very, very clever.
Now, okay, before I toss you back to Chad, I got to tell you, when you told Chad about the 200 actors doing the alien walks, Monty Python's Ministry of Silly Walks went through my head. So that's my strongest British reference.
That's probably what it was like, actually. All those doing really strange walks. But, it's very British, I suppose, maybe.
Chad.
Carl,
welcome back, Chad.
Good to see you again. We walked through a little bit last time on my last segment where your kind of history. And it sounds like most of your history prior to Aliens was in more traditional theater.
Yeah.
And then you did Aliens.
Yep.
And there's no other film credits.
No.
Was that a conscious choice? Did you go back to the theater, or?
Well, it was partly choice. Well, it was choice and not really. I went back into theatre again, and it was, a few more shows. But having done the film, the reaction of other people in the business towards me, for some reason, in the dance world, they were very bitter. A few people, and people would phone up my agent or whatever and say, "Oh, he's dead," or he can't work, he's broken a leg or something. And I'm like, I don't know if I can actually cope with this. It's not what I came into the business for, and I don't know, it just made me rethink the whole thing of what I was, because I was getting on a bit in age for dancing. I was getting towards coming up sort of 28, 29, 30. So you sort of have to start thinking about what you're going to do in the future, because dancing, once you're a dancer, it's very difficult to get out of that, people knowing you as a dancer. And I was pretty successful as a dancer in my field, in the West End. Once you get to know everyone, it's you get jobs passed on to you. And so I went out and started doing choreography myself. So I was choreographing shows and that. So that's what, rather than performing on stage, I became sort of behind the scenes a bit. And then I went over to the Caribbean, to an island called St. Bart's, and I was asked to do choreography out there for some hotels. Produced groups and that to do the dancing. That, so I went into that, and then I was so you're less known. It's not mentioned quite so much. It was cabaret work, and I was doing it in the hotels and that. So it was on a small island, which is, it was great. It was a great experience. So I was able to teach as well, because we were, especially out there, you didn't have all the talent that you had in mainland Europe or in the States. So I was finding the girls and the lads from a dance school that was there, and we were training them up. And then there were sort of people that were working as waiters or waitresses, and they were able to dance as well. So, that's how we got some groups going there. And then after that... You
can't beat the opportunity to live in St. Bart's, so...
Sorry?
I said you can't beat the opportunity to live in St. Bart's. So.
But you have to work when you're in St. Bart's, unless you're a millionaire. You have to be able to work to live there. But no, that was great. I was over there 12 years in St. Bart's, so that was a great experience. And from that, I went into unbelievable catering, and now a chef now. So that's what I'm doing now. Yeah.
Still a creative outlet, though.
Still. And so doing these conventions for me is sort of going back a bit to what I was doing before, with talking about it and sort of meeting the people, the fans, and that, which it's an amazing opportunity for me, because I did love my dancing career and all that. So it's nice being able to sort of go back into that and talk about it, and meet the fans that. Likes the work I did. So no, it's great. So yeah, I've had a pretty exciting life so far, and it's there's who knows what's coming up next. So yeah,
it sounds like it. And certainly, I mean, for something to be known by, it's an iconic role. So I know.
Yeah, if you're going to do one film, why not do that one? I fell in pretty well with that. So it's like Carrie Henn, she's who played Newt. She's doing the conventions and that, and she really only had one role as well. Like he says as well, if you're going to do one role, you might as well, have done that one. So she's done very well.
Do one that's going to stick around for a while.
Yeah. And it doesn't seem to die down. That's the thing. It's just I'm at these conventions. I'm seeing like 3 generations now. I'm seeing people my age who saw the original one. Then they showed their children, and now their children now have had children. They're seeing it as well. So it's great. It covers the whole generation. At these conventions, you're getting the grandfather, the father, and or mother or daughter, or whatever, coming along, and it's incredible. I think it's kept going like that. And
we can't wait to see you at Scarefest.
Sorry.
We can't wait to see you at Scarefest.
Well, I can't wait to be there.
Bottom of the hour.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. It's we're going to have a blast. I've met John Henderson, who's the guy for Doomsday Crypt, and that he was kind enough to invite me as well. So he's got some great stuff as well, merchandise as well. Some the artists and creators some amazing pieces and that. Apparently, because the Alien is the actual costume, when you look at it, it's quite an interesting costume for artists to play with. It's there's a lot of detail they can play around with and that. So I think some of the artists have had some great fun creating on it. So I'm looking forward to seeing all of that. So yeah.
We'll have it. We'll be right back with Carl after this.
Are you a fan of horror movies, books, comics, music, and collectibles? Rue Morgue magazine is for you. Subscribe today to receive 6 or 12 print issues annually and join me, executive editor Andrea Subissati, on an ongoing journey through the horror genre of the past, present, and future. Plus, get access to unmissable special editions such as A Century of Witches, 50 Years of Gore Cinema, British horror movies, and so much more. Rue Morgue, the world's premier horror and culture and entertainment magazine since 1997. Accept no substitute.
And welcome back, everyone, to Scarefest Television. Our guest tonight, Carl Toup, the alien warrior in the movie Aliens, brought to you by Doomsday Crypt at Scarefest 2024. Okay, Carl.
Yes.
A dancer, cabaret dancer, as you described, and shows and theater. I'm going to ask this question because it's one of those things I always wonder. When you do something professionally, do you still like to just go out and go dancing?
No.
No. Okay.
I'm probably one of the worst dancers on a dance floor. I need to be choreographed, or I need to, I'm not very good at improvising on the dance floor now. So.
Well, and people our age aren't, but see, I did ballroom dancing. Cool. Yeah. And so when I get on the dance floor, I just count in my head, walk through it, piece of cake.
And if I start watching someone, I try and copy them, and I get it completely wrong again. So I'm like, it's complete chaos. So I'm the one that stands on the sidelines watching. Yeah, genuinely with a glass in my hand. So
now I'm a little surprised by it. Now I'm not saying I expect you to say, yeah, I go dancing all the time, but to just say that you're not a natural. I would think that to be a professional dancer, you would have that rhythm. And you could, in a word, you could fake it.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. I don't know. It's just because sometimes when we were dancing at college, we go onto the dance floor and we dance like we'd be manic. We'd be showing off and like just getting away with murder. But then when you're actually in a nightclub or wherever, and you're just dancing on the floor and you start getting a bit over the top, people tend to look at you and like, well, what's he doing? So that sort of calmed me down a bit. I suppose I lost a bit of my confidence going to a nightclub and dancing. So I just sit there and drink some Dutch courage, basically.
Okay, now, whoa, banged into my microphone. What do you do for? Do you have any hobbies? What do you do for fun nowadays?
For fun, work. I really enjoy my job. Like I said, I'm a chef now, but we have a food truck, and I'm really enjoying that. We're going out and to the market, and we've got a really good, clear, customer base now, and so that I'm really enjoying. And then otherwise, I'm traveling. I just like traveling, going different places. I have a trouble staying in one place. That's a bit of my problem. So being able to do these conventions and go on holidays as well at the same time is for me it's perfect. So I'm getting to see different places. But No, like generally, like gardening. You've got a garden to look after. Eating. Yeah, no, it's. But at the moment, it is work. It's work I enjoy. So as long as I'm enjoying my work, I'm happy. Yes. As soon as I don't start enjoying my work, then I get out and start doing something else.
Okay. Now, before I toss you over to Chad again, I was scrolling your Facebook, doing the whole stalker thing to get ready.
Oh dear.
And I saw, you were at a convention with Beatrice Butler.
Yeah.
Isn't she the most delightful woman on the face of the earth?
Yeah, incredible. I love her. She's we have a really good time. She just enjoys it as much as I do. She just loves it. She loves meeting the fans. She's so good with her fans and that. She just spends a lot of time. She really gets into the character with them and that. And no, she's great. And she likes her food as well. She's a very good cook. She loves sort of Eastern food. If you go to a restaurant, she knows exactly everything that's on the menu, and she can explain it to you and that. So yeah, no, great.
Now one last question, serious question. Now, when you're doing a convention, what is the most common thing that do people want you to sign photos, or is it paraphernalia? In other words, movie props.
Yeah, it's a bit of everything, really. A lot of it's photos, but it's amazing what people have got in alien memorabilia. There's so much out there. I didn't realize there was so much out there, and they bring it all in, and stuff they've made themselves. Some of the armory they've made themselves, the guns and that, and they bring that in. They make they've done heads, alien heads, and some of the stuff they bring in is incredible. Yes, there's probably a mix. It's merchandise and the photos I'm signing. So, and also signing their flesh so they can get a tattoo with my signature on it. And
well, now that's an honor.
Yeah, weird, but there you go. So,
I mean, I understand. I mean, the big movie. Nothing against you, but now, because I don't have any tattoos. I'm not a tattoo guy. Well,
no, I'm not tattooed. So.
But yeah, don't take this personal, but getting the stuntman from Aliens tattooed on my ass, no, I just don't see it.
No, generally they have. Well, it's not mine either, but and I do say think twice before you do this. When I sign it, you can wash it off, no problem. But they often have either a tattoo already done of the alien itself. So then they want.
That's
what they want me to sign underneath. So
yeah, that makes sense. Chad.
Yeah, it makes a bit more sense. Hi again, Chad.
Oh, but still a big honor. Hello. We've talked about kind of your range from theater to cabaret to Alien. What kind of movies do you like to watch?
Well, musicals generally, comedy musicals. I'm not a big cinema goer myself, I must admit. So, but I like it's not more of the light-hearted musical stuff. The film that actually got me into the whole thing of dancing and everything was the film called Hello, Dolly. It had Barbara Streisand in it, Louis Armstrong, and that's really what got me into the whole thing of dancing. I was just like the costumes, the color, it was moving all the time. I loved it. So it's a bit naff, but there you go. I like that's the sort of thing I like. So all this horror stuff. I like it, but I'm not a big cinema goer. So it's sitting for 2 hours. Watching a film, I have a bit of trouble just sitting down for 2 hours. So I can watch a film, but I'm up and down, and so going to the cinema is a bit. I'm sort of stuck there for 2 hours. So if I do watch a film, it's generally at home. But musicals and comedy films like that, I suppose, I'm more interested in. Yeah. So sorry about that.
You got to look at the. I don't know. That's why I ask. It's always interesting to hear what people's preferences are, even though they're ingrained in this world through the conventions.
But when I go to these conventions, when I see everyone in their costume, they're it's amazing. And like you just enter into the whole world of horror and everything, and and that's where I learn more about the films at these conventions than I do, sitting at home. So no, it's great. So, and going on to these conventions, I just think they're great because it allows people to really escape their sort of everyday life. You see a lot of people, they're just, they've got the trials and tribulations of their daily life outside, which we all have, and then they come to these festivals and they can dress up, they can be whoever they want. No one, butts an eyelid. They just they're there. Everyone's there to enjoy themselves, and I think that's what's so great about these festivals and conventions. It just allows these, all of us, because I use them as myself to escape my daily life. So, and I love it. It's great to see all these happy people and dressed up as scary people. So it's great.
That's what always surprises me is, despite the subject matter of some of these movies that are so horrific, you will never walk into a room with 20,000 people that are nicer, more friendly, and in a better mood than you will at a horror convention.
Yeah, it's true. And, I've never, ever had seen any trouble at any of these conventions I've been to. There's never... It's a new world, and I love it. It's a great thing to be involved with.
So I'm gonna just go back 1 second and say, if what you like is musicals and dance and comedy, and horror gets thrown in there, obviously, you should be focusing on Rocky Horror. Yeah. But that combines all of them.
Yeah, I love Rocky Horror Show. Yeah, it's brilliant.
But so as you transition into a chef, what type of cuisine do you focus on?
Well, when I first got into it, we a mad idea. We bought this huge restaurant. It had a 200-seating banquet hall. It had a gourmet restaurant in the middle, and like we call them a menu of the day restaurant at the front. So that was basically traditional cooking, just churning it all out. And then I've slipped it because I'm now living in France, and we're living in an area where they do a lot of duck and foie gras and lots of meat. So I thought, well, let's try and go against all this and do vegetarian. So I'm now doing a vegetarian food truck, and it's doing really well. And most of our customers aren't vegetarians. They just like, because I do like using a lot of spices. So people like that sort of food. They're coming, and they're not just vegetarians. So yeah, doing that now. So it's quite challenging. It's quite good because you're working with seasonal vegetables and that. So I don't know if you're into food and cooking, but it's no, I love it. You
can almost guarantee you'll have some people come up to talk to you that want to talk to you about cooking now that you put that out there.
Well, Beatrice Beelpool, we were saying, we're getting a cooking program going, a podcast going up, having a chat about films and cooking at the same time. So it'd be quite fun. But no, I do enjoy it, and it's a great opening for creating as well. So I'm still creating sort of things through the cooking and that.
Well, while you're roaming around Lexington, you can sample some of the bourbon and figure out how to work that into your cuisine.
Yeah, so what's the main dish in Lexington? What's the thing I should have in Lexington?
Kentucky's main dish that they're famous for is called a hot brown.
Hot brown?
It's an open-faced sandwich with turkey and ham, Mornay sauce, and then bacon and usually a tomato on top. Okay. It is the richest thing you'll ever see.
Okay, well that's on the list then. That sounds good. Yeah,
highly recommended.
Can't wait to get there.
But right now we're coming up on our final break. I'm going to go ahead and toss that. We'll be back in just a moment.
Okay, see you then.
Trick or Treat Studios is a Scare Fest weekend sponsoring vendor.
Trick or Treat Studios is the one-stop shop for high-quality Halloween and horror. Shop masks, costumes, figures, collectibles, games, and more from your favorite movies. Find Trick or Treat Studios online at trickortreatstudios.com.
Joel Robinson Hart is a Scarefest weekend sponsoring vendor. Joel Robinson has been the official Scarefest weekend artist since its beginning in 2008. Joel is a movie cover artist and a Universal Monsters artist. Visit Joel for posters, canvases, t-shirts, purses, and backpacks. Visit Joel's Etsy page at joelrobinsonart.com.
Hey, Scarefest, this is Joe Lewis. Next week, Scarefest. This week, Salem's Lot. Now, I have been looking forward to this movie for a few years and couldn't figure out why, although it's never a good sign. This movie actually was done in 2022. It's been sitting on a shelf for almost 2 years. And people were bitching. It's like, when are we going to get Salem's Lot? We heard it actually takes place in the 70s, like the book. When are we going to get Salem's Lot? I was one of them. It's actually written and directed by Gary Dauberman. His directorial debut was Annabelle Creation or Comes Home or one of those. But he wrote most of the Annabelle films. He wrote quite a bit of the It 2, 1, and 2, and a lot of the Conjuring universe. I was watching the first few minutes of it, and I like the music, especially, Sundown, You Better Take Care. I love the fact that it was set in the 70s. I love the aesthetic. And then I tried to defend it as it took me 3 nights to watch it. It's not dreadful, but it's not very good either. If you want to watch Salem's Lot, watch the 79 version, the 3-hour version. It's also on Max. So is this new Salem's Lot. It dropped to Max, didn't go to the theaters. Check it out there, see what you think. Because I think even though it's a TV movie from 1979 that's 3 hours long, it's still way better than this. And it's not that this thing's dreadful. It's an hour and 50 minutes. It's just some of the acting is so wooden. It's so miscast. The guy that plays Ben, the writer, he's fine, but I feel like most of these people are just miscast and missed opportunities. And I kept trying to defend it, going, well, they got this right and they got that right, but they got so much wrong. I hate the music, not the actual songs from the 70s, the score. They just should have done so much more. My problem is, other than the movie is kind of uneventful, the story jumps a little bit, but I know they're trying to get a huge book into 1 2-hour movie that was a 3-hour movie beforehand. That being said, you got to do a better job than this. Sometimes it steers close to the original version, and sometimes it goes away. It changes the ending quite a bit. Salem's Lot is actually one of my favorite Stephen King novels. It's with desperation. I'm one of those people who pulls out desperation in Salem's Lot when everybody else is screaming The Stand. I love The Stand, but it's just one of my favorite novels of Salem's Lot. And people forget that Stephen King was one of the first people to deal with vampirism as basically being COVID. Everybody starts to get it. It spreads. It's a disease. It takes over the small town. It just doesn't work in this movie. There's scenes in it I like, but then there's also scenes of the little boys, the Glick boys coming back. This doesn't work in this. I will give them the credit. There's a couple of pretty brutal-ish murders that happen to young folks, but if you know anything about Salem's Lot, then you know that's what happens. So that shouldn't be a shock. Should you see this? Man, I tell you, they missed every damn opportunity in this movie as far as I'm concerned. The music's wrong. I mean, the score, not the songs they picked. The visuals are good. A friend of mine, a guy who's been on our show, BJ McDonald, shot it. There's a lot of great shots in the movie, but I just think the whole damn movie's miscast. It's kind of wooden acting. It's not very well paced. It feels like more of a TV movie to me than the original miniseries did. And if you're asking me about that Rob Lowe miniseries that was done for TNT 15 years ago or whatever, we're not going to talk about it. It doesn't exist. It's dreadful. This one's not dreadful. It's just so many missed opportunities. So if you get a chance and you have HBO Max, check out Salem's Lot. It's around Halloween. It's not awful. It's not dreadful. I just see so many missed opportunities. And perhaps I'm just jealous because I always wanted to make my own version. This has been Joe Lewis. I'll see you next week at Scarefest. Stop by, say hi, remind me who the hell you are. Stay safe.
And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest Television. And, of course, we are sitting here talking with Carl Toup. Doomsday's Crypt is bringing him to Scarefest 2024, and you'll be able to find him, meet him, talk to him, get a signature for a tattoo in the Doomsday's Crypt booth. Now, I hope I'm not out of line here. I think we're in similar age groups. We have to check the same box. I'm interested. Okay, you mentioned the Barbara Streisand movie that got you into dancing. Do you have a favorite theatrical movie dancer?
I like the Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly.
I'm really showing my age.
Well,
I just loved the whole musical era of that time. You know, the grand productions. They had like thousands of dancers, and the elegance of it all. You know, even though some of the storylines were a bit naff, but the dancing techniques, and when you see like Fred and Ginger dancing together, the technique of it and everything is incredible. Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly, I like. He was a bit more modern, a bit more jazzy. I just like the elegance of Fred Astaire more than Gene Kelly. But no, Gene Kelly is pretty good as well. You know.
Yeah. There was something about the way Gene. Now, I'm of course dating myself. Although, for the record, everybody, 1982 disco. That's okay. That's where that's where my roots are. But there was something about the way Gene Kelly moved that just fascinated me.
Yeah.
And so I'm on that page. Now, okay, since we're on talking about dancing and stuff, and you said about, when you were young, acting the fool and all that, but, musically, think about, popular music. How did you, dancing got really big, late 70s, early 80s. Were you a part of that movement, at least on the musical side? Was there something else you liked?
Yeah, no. You know, the 80s. If you go to any nightclub now, it's always 80s music that gets everyone up dancing. Because when I started college, the thing that was going then was Saturday Night Fever. So that really got the disco thing going, especially for men. I think he got men interested in dancing and going to these. I think usually it was the girls dancing around the handbags, and the guys were standing around the edge. But I think John Travolta managed to get the men back up and out there dancing. And then the music afterwards, the 80s music, probably the best there's been, I think. But I might be a bit biased, but that's when I grew up doing all the bad stuff. So that's probably why I remember it and enjoy it now. So the songs of that time got memories for me. So it was.
Well, if you remember it, it couldn't have been too bad of stuff.
Nah, of course not. I was a good boy. I was.
You're coming to Kentucky. Our tradition is to get drunk and pass out in a cornfield. Just so you know.
But I had my first cigarette in a cornfield, so that's. Bad mistake that was.
Well, everybody, we've been talking to Carl Toup. Now, from the chat room, I'm sorry we weren't answering questions tonight. That's because they weren't about our guest. But if you just post in the fan group, we will get all your questions asked. So don't worry about that. But I want to say, Carl, thank you very much for coming on tonight and being with us. And we're looking forward to meeting you.
Yep. Thank you very much.
4 days from now.
Booth 420.
This has been
look forward to seeing you there.
This has been Scarefest TV.